Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and it is game week. We have waited way too long to once again watch this football team line up from another football team and go toe-to-toe and try to win a football game. And we get to do that this Thursday, where we are going to be live on the channel with a Chat Sports watch party. So subscribe and turn your notifications on, and we'll see you an hour before kickoff on Thursday night. I thought it was interesting following day one of Giants versus Lions joint practices, and Daniel Jones says, I want to play this Thursday. And not because, it's not surprising because Daniel Jones said he wants to play. We know he's a competitor. He's always going to compete. One of the hardest working dudes in this league, and he wants to see where he is at as a player. But what I thought was interesting was he hasn't really been in a live setting like that. He's been wearing the red practice jersey. Even against the Lions on Monday in joint practices, he obviously wore that. He hasn't been in a live, full contact, no red jersey since week 9 against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's been 8 months. Is he ready to be in that environment? Is he ready to take a big hit to the knee? I don't know, but I love that he said he wants to go out there and play for his guys. I want to ask you this question, though, before we get into 5 players I'm going to be looking for to make big-time plays and make a statement on Thursday night. Do you think the Giants starters should play versus the Detroit Lions on Thursday? It's always an interesting conversation about starters playing in the preseason. I want to hear from you. Type Y for yes, type N for no. For me, I think the Giants' offensive starters should play. My first thought was, I don't need to see anything from Andrew Thomas. But if I'm going to put Daniel Jones out there, I need every single starter playing. And maybe it's only for one drive like it was last year where the Giants had that great opening drive where they ran like 57 play action plays in a row and they marched right down the field and scored on the Detroit Lions. So yes, I'm going to say at minimum the Giants offense should play for one series. Daniel Jones needs to see live bullets and be in live fire before week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. He needs to feel the pocket. He needs to be confident in that knee. He needs to take a hitter or two before we're ready to go on Sunday, week 1, against the 0-1 Minnesota Vikings. On the flip side, I don't really need to see anything from 97, from 0, or number 5. There is nothing I could learn from watching Dexter Lawrence play football, watching Brian Burns play football, or Kayvon Thibodeau play football. I think we're at the point in the offseason with these 3 guys where it's just like, put them in bubble wrap, put them on ice, and let's have them ready to rock and roll and go take down Sam Darnold and the big bad Minnesota Vikings. So I want to see the Giants' offensive starters play. I don't really need to see the defensive starters play. But 5 people I do want to watch, and I want to see big things from. Let's start on offense, and let's look at the backfield. Rookie running back, wide receiver turned running back, Tyrone Tracy Jr. I want to see him play because if you watch this channel during the draft process, you know how big of a fan I was of Tyrone Tracy, and I just want to see some of the things I've said come true. I truly do believe in him, man. He's a special player, was a 5th-round pick out of Purdue for the New York Giants, and he is explosive. And during Hard Knocks, you saw how much the advanced analytics scouting department for Big Blue loved Tyrone Tracy. But more importantly, just the player and the skills I think he possesses and the plays he can make, he's got a legit opportunity to step up and win a job and be the RB2 for this football team. That job is wide open. We know Devin Motor Singletary is going to be RB1. He is going to be your bell cow. He's going to be the guy that leads this team in carries if he does stay healthy. But after that, we don't know who RB2 is going to be. Giants just cut Jashaun Corbin, so we know it's not going to be him. Eric Gray got lit up at Giants practice on Monday. Who knows if he's going to even play on Thursday? Tyrone Tracy, I think, deserves a crack at RB2. I think Dante Miller deserves a crack at that. And I think Eric Gray could actually be on the roster bubble as he still continues to struggle at pass protection. He needs a strong preseason, man. He really does. If Eric Gray doesn't show growth, if he doesn't show any improvement as a pass protector, as a pass catcher, and give confidence to Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, or Joe Shane for that matter, I could see him on the roster bubble and looking potentially on the outside in. And I want to see Tyrone Tracy and him go toe-to-toe, face-to-face, competing for that RB2 job. I want to see the running backs be a big part of the offense on Thursday night. Well, from running back to defensive back, slot corner, rookie, third-round pick out of Kentucky, Andru Phillips. He's another player that I'm going to have my eyes glued to when the Giants kick it off Thursday night against the Lions. It seemed like every fight the Giants had Monday at practice, number 22 was in the thick of it getting things started. Him and Amon-Ra St. Brown got chippy. Then Andru Phillips got in a fight with an offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions. He was not scared. He did not back down. And if you're going to play corner in this league, and if you're going to play slot corner in this league, you got to be wired a little bit different right here, because at 5'10", 190 pounds, you have the hardest job, in my opinion, outside of corner and offensive tackle in football. You're playing in the middle of the field. You don't have leverage to the boundary. You don't have leverage to the hashes. And you are guarding the fastest, quickest players in the NFL. And you're playing a reactionary position. And he has done a good job in training camp. He has the inside track at that starting slot cornerback job. And if the Lions play their starters, I want to see him go toe-to-toe in the slot, getting physical, lining up on the line of scrimmage, playing press man with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We know St. Brown is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL. He was compensating this offseason, and I want to see our rookie stack up with him and see where he stands as an NFL player. Overall, I'm not all that confident in the Giants' cornerback room. I like Deonte Banks, but he has to be much better than he was as a rookie. He flashed signs of being a guy that could be a CB1 as a rookie year. But in year two, we need him to take a step. We need to be more consistent. And if the Giants are going to be anything like we want them to be this year, we need him to really cement himself as a top 20 corner in this league. Because outside of Banks, McLeod, and Phillips, it's question marks everywhere for me. I just don't have the confidence I once did in Cordell Fly. Trey Hawkins, I don't think, is ready. And with the back-end shuffling of the roster at the cornerback position with Herndon, Goodrich, Long Jr., Borders, and Christian Holmes, who the Giants signed on Monday, there is an opportunity for somebody to win this job. And I want it to be the rookie, Andru Phillips. Let's go to the linebacker position. And Deontay Johnson, the second-year UDFA out of Toledo, has been getting some run with the first-team offense, rotating in with Micah McFadden. And in these preseason games, you're going to get a longer and extended look at some of these depth pieces. And Johnson's going to have the opportunity presented to him right in front of him to go out and claim a roster spot. He's worked with the first-team defense from time to time this offseason, and he credited his success in this new Shane Bowen defense to the fact that he played in a similar scheme and a similar terminology type of defense when he was with Toledo in college, and he has said that has helped him come up to speed and make plays. We saw Bobby Okereke sing the praise of Deontay Johnson, as has Shane Bowen. I still expect week one against the Minnesota Vikings for Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden to be your two starting inside linebackers. But after that, I do think the job is open for somebody else. We know Isaiah Simmons is going to play that money backer role, which is essentially that second strong safety, very similar to another big nickel on this team. But I think it's safe to say Deontay Johnson is above Darian Beavers. He's above Carter Coughlin, above Matthew Adams, and above Darius Musa, the rookie. He is going to be in a spot Thursday where he could potentially earn a roster spot. And I want to see him call the defense, play sideline to sideline, play aggressive, fast, and downhill against the very, very physical Detroit Lions team. We're going to learn a lot about the pregame or about the training camp hype that Johnson has received so far this offseason. I've got two more players that I'm looking forward to watching on Thursday night and what I'm going to be watching for them. But first, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the game, the only app that promises you get the best seats for the lowest price guaranteed. And if you download the app today and use that promo code ChatSports, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. I have used all of the ticketing apps out there. I love going to sporting events. I love going to concerts. I love going to comedy shows and so much more. And none of them care more about their customers than Game Time does. And all the features in the app are awesome. Like as you see in the middle picture on the screen right now, you could filter by all-in pricing. That way, the price that you see is the price that you pay. Because we've all seen tickets like, oh man, we can get these 2 tickets for $100, and you get to checkout, and it's like, why are they telling me I owe $250? They don't do that at Game Time. They take care of you. You get last-minute tickets and flash deals, views from the seats, and the lowest prices guaranteed. It's the only app I use. I went to the Grateful Dead concert last year. I went to a Knicks game. I went to the Home Run Derby this year in Arlington, and I'm going to continue to use it because I am a Game Time user, and I am loyal because I like getting deals. I'm a man of deals, and I like to save money, and Game Time makes sure that happens for you. So download the app. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Shout out to Game Time, sponsoring Giants Now by Chat Sports, and support them so we can keep them here as a sponsor. Maybe the UDFA that's been getting the most love at a Giants training camp so far is the SMU Mustang, Elijah Chapman. And man, oh man, I am drunk off the Kool-Aid of Elijah Chapman. I don't want to hype this guy up, but it seems like every single time I talk to someone at Giants training camp, I watch the highlights of Giants training camp, Chapman is making plays, whether it's with the first defense, second defense, or third defense. And he is a guy that I think has a real opportunity here, not just to make this roster, not to be the 53rd man that makes this roster, but to potentially be a guy that's a rotational piece at that interior defensive line. We know 0, we know 5, we know 97, and we know 51 are going to have big-time roles on this team. But I also have a major question mark as to who is going to be DT2 next to Dexter Lawrence. I'm sure Rakeem Nunez-Roches will be that guy, and I'm sure either Jordan Phillips, Jordan Riley, or DJ Davidson will get that next guy. But what Chapman brings is something that others at that position do not have. He is a legit pass rusher. He could do it from the A-gap, the B-gap, or he can line up on the edge. And I think on passing downs, the Giants lining up Burns with Lawrence and Thibodeau and maybe Chapman as well as Ojulari going with a 5-man front could cause problems for other teams. So I'm excited to see the UDFA out of SMU go and make some plays against one of the better offensive lines in the National Football League, the Detroit Lions, this Thursday. And you knew we weren't talking about camp battles and preseason battles without mentioning the QB2 battle of Drew Lock and Tommy effing Cutlets. This is the first time my Giants fandom, which goes back to 1994, where I remember the Giants actually have 3 quarterbacks on this team that have all won games in the National Football League, where I am actually looking forward to watching every single quarterback play. And we know that Tommy DeVito, Mr. Gabagoo, Tommy Cutlets, he is fighting for his career as a New York Giant. Joe Schoen is entering year 3. This will be his 3rd time cutting down the roster from 90 to 53. He's never kept 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. Maybe this is the first time. Maybe they do keep 3 quarterbacks because they know Daniel Jones has an injury history. And they know that Daniel Jones has an injury guarantee in his roster. On his contract, excuse me. And they know that if Tommy DeVito is cut, he may not come back to the Giants practice squad. And maybe that there is a team out there that signs him to their active roster. There's only 3 quarterbacks on this team right now. Nathan O'Rourke, he ended up getting cut by the New York Giants. So you are going to see plenty of Drew Lock and plenty of Tommy DeVito on Thursday night against the Detroit Lions. And Cutlets knows that this is his chance to go out there and prove, not to himself, because he knows who he is. Got that chip on his shoulder, that Don Bosco prep swag. He knows that he can go out there and sling it. He was NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He beat the big bad Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. He knows that he can play in this league. But he's got to prove it to Joe Schoen. He's got to prove it to Brian Dable. He's got to prove it to Shea Tierney that the Giants need to keep 3 quarterbacks. I think it makes a lot of sense to do so for all the reasons we talked about. Injury history, injury guarantee, and maybe the fact that he's not going to come back to this team if he does get cut. Because he said it would be a gamble if the Giants cut me. Maybe that's a little bit of a scare tactic from Cutlets, but I would not be mad at him at all if he does get cut to go look for work elsewhere. Pick a QB2, though. If you had to choose a QB2 today to back up number 8, who would it be? Is it DeVito? Is it Lock? Make the call in the comment section. I'm ready, man. I am ready. The offseason was slow. I've been pessimistic, but I'm coming off a broken heart. And hurt people, they hurt people. And the Giants, they hurt me. And I'm hurt people. And maybe I hurt some Giants fans' feelings out there. But what I saw in joint practices, it fired me the hell up. And I finally got that feeling inside my chest where my heart started beating and said, it's New York Football Giants time. And I'm ready to see them go punch somebody in the mouth this Thursday night. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there. And let's go Big Blue.